Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland, this is for you.
Good evening, Cavs fans. Welcome to another fantastic installment of the Block the Shot to Stop, a Cleveland Cavaliers podcast brought to you by the wonderful blue people over at Blue Wire. I'm Tim Daniel. He's Skylar Webker. And Skylar, tonight we are officially talking about the 2024-2025 Central Division champion Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh, by the way, there's still 17 games to go on the season.
It's cool. But also, to your point, like, do the divisions really matter?
No, it doesn't matter one bit. But that brings the Magic. Tonight's win against the Nets brings the Magic number down to 11 to clinch the Eastern Conference regular season. Home court advantage against over Boston. So there's that. 55th win of the year in 65 games is asinine. 30th home win of the season.
Wow,
dude. All right. And by the way, they did not have tonight Donovan Mitchell, DeAndre Hunter, or Ty Jerome. They fell down 18 points, and they still won the game. And so I ask you this before we get into breaking down the game and talking about all this stuff overall. At what point is it appropriate to panic about the Cavs? Because the first few times we had these games when they were down quite a bit, you get anxious. But the Boston game for sure, you're down 25-3. You look terrible. First couple minutes, you're like, all right, it's just you're like, okay, well, this sucks. Portland, when we're in town, it's like, oh, they're down 18 in the third quarter. You're like, oh man, how are they gonna pull that off? And then they do. And tonight they're down 18. They're down 13 at half. And then they just they pull it off. They're down 18 at one point. They're down 13 and a half. They're down going to the fourth quarter at 11, and then Craig Porter Jr. hits that 49-footer to what he calls bank on, and doesn't play in the fourth, and they didn't need him to because Garland was absolutely incredible. But really, this is a serious question. And Cavs fans, if you're checking out on the socials or you're watching this later on, we'll clip this and put on TikTok and everything as well. But really, is it ever appropriate to panic about this Cavs team?
No, like they just keep finding ways to win, and it's incredible. Like, tonight Darius Garland played very poorly until the fourth quarter. Then the fourth quarter, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we gotta win. We gotta win. Oh, we don't have to win, but it's nice to win." What was it? Against the Bucks, the fourth place team, like a playoff team, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland did not shoot very well. They did some of the ancillary stuff, but they didn't shoot very well.
Oh, I like that.
And they still win. Like, this team just wins.
They do. Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's so fun to watch. It's so funny. So you had met Grace's cousin Lucas at our live show, and we text through every game, and it's me, him, her uncle Andy, who's at the game, who you met, and then his twin brother Travis. We have a group text with the four of us that we talk to the games. Well, I have the one with you and Kevin. I have this one going on as well. And Lucas has a tendency to kind of be like, oh no, things aren't going very well right now. So I texted him tonight, and I was like, look, man, unless they're down 12 with 5 minutes to go, it's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be okay.
I don't even think that's safe. I mean,
oh man. I think too, tonight was just a really fun game to watch, even when they're losing, in the sense that they're down those three guys, and it's like this relentless effort from Allen and Mobley and Garland out there, and just kind of like the ways that they just found ways to stay in games. It was like really entertaining. Like, even if we came on here and they had lost tonight, just watching them find a way to fight and compete. I guess you could say, because they did win tonight, refuse to lose. Was just like really it was really entertaining. They're like, yeah, if they had lost today, I probably still would have felt the same way. I wouldn't have been mad. I've been like, okay, whatever, they don't get their second 50th game win streak, whatever. But it's just like really, it's like really fun to watch just how they just always like how well they're coached, how disciplined they are, how they don't panic. And they're like, look, we'll find a way to get back in this game. And tonight was just really, really entertaining.
It feels like the other team can feel that too. Like,
yeah, it does.
It doesn't matter what the scoreboard is. Like there were a couple of shots or slow-mos or whatever of, I think Nick Claxton got fouled and he's just laying on the floor and he's just like, you can see on his face where he's like, do I have to get up? Because we're still have this game to play. Like he got fouled and he's just laying there like, I really don't want to finish this game because I know that like Cleveland is going to pull this out or, fight through it or, like you said, just excellently coached, in that fourth quarter specifically, like kudos to Kenny Atkinson. I mean, he just coached circles around Brooklyn.
Here's the thing. Brooklyn is extremely well coached. They might not have a good record, but if you look at their roster, they're in these games all the time. They just beat the Lakers last night. And I know the Lakers without LeBron, but Luka was pretty decent. And so like they fight with everybody, they compete with everybody, they have big wins this year. So they're just not talented. They're very well coached. And I thought tonight Jordi Fernandez was really good, and then Kenny just outcoached him in the fourth quarter. So by the way, I forgot to mention in my rundown of facts there at the beginning, this is now the 11th team this year the Cavaliers have swept.
I mean, you take the Cavs out because you can't sweep yourself. There's 29 available teams to sweep.
There's still more that they can sweep. So Memphis on Friday, if they win that game, they sweep. They're still yet to play the
Clippers,
the Spurs, and the Kings. So they haven't played them either of their West Coast games yet. They still have the chance to sweep the Knicks,
the Jazz,
yeah. So this might be going a bit. This is just, I love that we're at this point with John Michael and Brad Daugherty in the broadcast where even they're just kind of blown away and amazed. I mean, Daugherty doesn't, as the color guy, you're kind of supposed to kind of say, not only explain the game, but, also explain what you think the fans are feeling while John's doing the play-by-play. And you can tell for him when they're down and they're not playing well, he's like, once they lock in on defense, they're going to be okay. And they switched to that zone and tonight, and that, that really kind of shook things up for Brooklyn's offense. I mean, Cam Thomas just came out like a bat out of hell. He couldn't miss there for a while. And it's just like with those guys, they're just like, all right, whatever. Like, let's see what happens. And I think that's been kind of made it more entertaining to kind of see like that. So just this no panic, no, everyone's fine. Let's just kind of come to grips. Let's go into halftime. Let's figure out our adjustments. We'll come out there and we'll go guns blazing and we'll take care of business.
And I mean, that's apparent in kind of the box score. I mean, if you look, Brooklyn has a better field goal percentage at 46 to 43, better 3-point percentage, 36 to 23. Woof. I mean, we really only had a better free throw percentage at 71 to 84.
And we out-rebounded them.
They out-assisted us. I mean, it was definitely like they were shooting probably the best that they've shot all season. And it was tonight. And it seems like a common theme whenever these teams play the Cavs, because that was the case for the Trailblazers game. That was the case for
Benny Avdia looked like freaking Arvydas Sabonis.
Exactly. I mean, so like
he's good.
It doesn't even matter. But... I would have loved if the Cavs traded for him, but I love that we got DeAndre Hunter, who didn't even play tonight.
Yeah, if they had lost tonight, my joke was going to be in a typical dad's talking Cavs fashion. That's a dad joke and a Cavs joke, and one. DeAndre Hunter's still undefeated as a member of the Cavaliers, but we don't have to worry about it. So there goes that. All right, so 4 players to talk about tonight, really, as far as performance, because we already talked about Kenny and the stuff Kenny did. The 2 challenges, awesome. Just the way that he just kind of like, it feels like he switched defense at the right time. He switched. I mean, the adjustments he made to the fourth quarter were tremendous. So we have 4 guys to talk about here. that I really want to kind of focus on with this game. Garland, Mobley, Allen, and Okoro.
Yep.
And we could definitely give Sam Merrill his flowers because his 3-point shooting of late has just been unbelievable.
Wild.
What they say is like 9 for his last 12 across games, not just tonight.
Yeah. Well, tonight he was pretty poor, 1 for 6. But coming in tonight, I think it was like 8 for 12 or 9 for 12 or something like that.
Insanity. All right, where do you want to start?
Let's start with Okoro, somebody that got big minutes tonight with Mitchell being out, and just does the dirty work. I mean, he doesn't have the biggest plus minus, but I think he was the biggest plus or the consistent plus throughout the entire game.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And so I think the biggest moment for him is obviously going to be the rebound he gets later in the game where Nick Claxton is above him, pulling his arm down. I think Zaire Williams is at his hip, and he still manages to pull the rebound down, draws the foul. Like that really kind of forward this game to make it a multiple possession game. Yeah, 6-5-2. You're like, okay, sure. But like you said, just doing the dirty work, being really physical, getting to the line. I know we missed those 2 free throws on that play, but that rebound was humongous and kind of took on the biggest challenges, man. I mean, like really, like when Garland's kind of be switching the game to Cam Thomas, he's the one that kind of comes over and takes it over for him.
Right.
So I thought it was like, he guarded Cam Johnson in groups in majority of the time tonight. I thought his defense, his physicality, just kind of like, yeah, you guys are hitting shots now, but let's see how long you're going to hit shots with how physical I'm playing you, was really, really impressive.
Yes. I know Kevin is the president of the, Isaac Okoro fan club around here, but what we love about Isaac is it's not the shooting, it's not the rebounds, it's not assists, it's all of the other stuff that he does that doesn't show up in a box score that just contributes to winning. And it's just such like selflessness. Like he doesn't need to score 30 on a night to feel the validation. It could just be causing a turnover in a clutch time when I forget who he's guarding, but he caused him to step out of bounds to give the Cavs the possession. To give Cavs the possession to then go on to, I think, break the tie and take the lead.
Yeah, so Trenton Wofford, he forces to step out of bounds there, and that was huge. It's just it's defensive smarts, man. It's just second to none at times. Obviously, that's hard to say when the best defensive player in the world is on the team with you. But it's still pretty impressive. So Okoro tonight, no one's gonna like jump at the bit of like his scoring, but everything else he did tonight was perfect. I want to save Garland for last because the fourth quarter was great. So let's go with Mobley here. I thought tonight, I mean, his shooting was awesome. He was literally 9 of 13. He started off like 7 of 7. 1 of 3 from deep, whatever. 21, 9, and 6 was like just an awesome playmaker tonight. Typical Cavs moving the ball, making the extra pass, getting a guy passing a guy open, using a football term. But just like the fact that, like, again, this process of seeing what he's becoming, no panic, no worries, no worry. Like he's like, we're gonna be fine. Clogged the lane, made things difficult. I know he had 4 turnovers tonight, but some of the things he was doing out there, man, just putting the ball on the deck and getting that spin move with his opposite hand, getting a layup, like the bag is getting wider for Evan Mobley as the season goes on.
Yeah, I mean, that's like we saw the leap and taking the leap that we all needed him to take and expected him to take. And now he's like already dipping into like the next leap, which is becoming a playmaker, a facilitator, a ball handler. 6 assists. You'd like to get the turnovers down, 4 turnovers, but still 6 assists from your big man. That's pretty great.
Really solid. Yeah.
But and just like in the first quarter, like you were talking, like he was the only guy doing anything in the first quarter. I mean, he's the only reason the Cavs really had any points in the first quarter.
Yeah. Some of the freaking things he was doing, man. Like, I don't think people really understand. And I know you joked about Kevin's the president of the Okoro fan club, and I've often called myself the president of the Evan Mobley fan club. I still stand by it for what it's worth. But just what he's like evolving into, and this is just the beginning. Like, Cavs fans, legit. When he says in 5 years it's gonna be him and Wemby as the two best players in the world, believe him. Like, when his 3-point shot is significantly better already. It's going to get more consistent as time goes on. He's a much better free throw shooter than he has been in years past. Like I said, he's the best defensive player in the world. I love Victor Wembanyama. I have no bad things to say about Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama has the advantage of being much taller. And it's still very good.
6'7".
Yeah, he's still incredibly talented, still very good. I'm not taking anything away from him.
Sorry, not 6'7", 7'6".
Yes, I knew what you meant. Mobley is literally a better defender than him. Offensively, it's close. I think I would give Wemby the edge, but defensively, I think Mobley's for sure the best player in the world, and I'm not backing down from that. Just so many things he could do on the floor, man. Such a special talent, and was just under the 35-minute mark. We did have a guy go over 35 minutes tonight, the rare Cav to do so, and also I don't see Evan Mobley being anything less than he's going to be all NBA. It's not going to be first team, but he's going to be second or third team all NBA this year. There's just no way he's not.
I mean, who would you put in ahead of that spot that has been as consistent as Evan Mobley this year?
Giannis and Jokic.
Well, Jokic would probably go in as a 5, though.
Doesn't count in the All NBA. They don't. Yeah, they don't do that for All NBA.
Just bigs in the front court and back court.
5 best players. They go 15 best players in the league, and nowadays they don't go like 2 guards or anything like that. It's just literally like.
Got it.
Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, and I think that with where he's going to be, like, I think he's going to be second team. It'll probably be him and LeBron second team, as long as LeBron doesn't miss a ton of time with a groin injury.
LeBron second team? That's blasphemy.
I might be awesome, actually, considering he played no defense for 2 months.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, basically didn't play defense until this month, until they got Luka.
Yeah, and he's been super freaking good defensively too, man. The Fro, baby. Big night from the Fro. Was everywhere. I mean, how many times did they miss a shot tonight from deep? Because they didn't shoot very well from 3, like you mentioned in the outlier of the show. But how many times was he there? It's like when the ball's off the rim, he was there. And when a ball got loose in the paint, he was there. I felt like he was just so freaking good tonight, man. Obviously a double-double, 23 and 13 with 3 blocks, 34 minutes of play, but just kept things going. And then also hit his free throws, his first 7 of the night. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You got me on the, like, he's there. You just made me think of like the Police song, the every move you make, every step you take. I don't know, that's I'll Be Watching You, but
Stranger Things season 2 finale. I know what you're talking
about. No, I mean, great double-double. I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew in the third quarter. I mean, he was cleaning glass. He was, 3 blocks. I'm pretty sure at least 2 of them came there in the third quarter. And I mean, against kind of the stereotype that we said it would be hurtful to the Cavs is young athletic bigs. Nick Claxton is that, a young athletic big who can shoot from the 3.
He's a dude.
I really like Nick Claxton in his game. So yeah, that's and still being able to be +9, 13, 23, 3 blocks. I mean, that's just getting it done. And I know Brad Doherty talked about like his 82 game Ironman season.
My man's out there with a wrapped hand playing hoops still, like no fear.
Yeah, he's getting that Ironman. I don't know if Kenny will let him if everything's over with. Like, we already have the number 1 seed, we already have everything. I don't know if Kenny will let him get it, but
I could see Kenny full on doing the thing where he plays like game 80 through 82. He plays like the first 5 minutes, like go preseason style.
Yeah. I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, just to make sure he gets he technically in the box score gets 82 games. I could see that happening. Because I do think there were a couple of games this year where he didn't play the fourth quarter, right? There was a couple of games this year where just recently there's a couple of games where he played 18 minutes. So it's not like these other guys who are playing 82 games who are like the Torian Princes of this day, where he's playing 28 to 29 minutes every night.
Right.
So, but yeah, dude, I think just what Allen has done, and I don't think I can say enough how much he was just snubbed as an all-star this year. Is that, probably not going to
My
make
feelings will never not be hurt by that.
Same, dude, same, because he full on deserved it. All right, let's get to DG. So first off, won our prop bet today.
Woo, woo.
In the first half, mind you. I felt good in the first quarter when he had 4. I was like, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
So the bet was Darius Garland over 6.5 assists. And it cashed. So obviously he had 8, which he had 6 in the first half. He had 4 in the first quarter. The way he moved the ball, you kind of talked about how Mobley was just so dominant in the first quarter. I feel like Garland contributed a lot to that with the way he was passing the ball because he wasn't hitting shots. Was just huge for this team. And then kind of the fact that really there's majority of the game, it's Garland, Allen, and Mobley. All right, let's figure out how to win. And Garland kind of obviously orchestrating the offense in that sense. He's just so fun. There's no player in the NBA it's more fun to watch to me than Darius Garland. And it's not just because I'm a Cavs fan. Just realistically, if I had to watch the Cavs on League Pass and not cover games for them, I want to know what he's doing every night. I want to see what when they set their half court offense, what is he doing? Because he most nights, not tonight, can hit some daggers on you. He can get to the paint with no issues. His handle is super underrated. His, just the way that he can kind of create space for himself. He's such a good passer as far as we talked about this a lot, just finding Jared or Evan the dunker spot to just be right there to catch and put the ball up, throw it at the rim, his floating game. And tonight was none of that. It was just all right, I'm passing the ball and we'll see what we get going from the offense until the fourth quarter. So he ends the night with 30 points, 18 of those from the fourth quarter. And
nutty.
Struggled quite a bit shooting tonight. Not typical Darius Garland. Was there 11-24 from the floor, but the fourth quarter, man, was just lights out. And this is why when we see all these talking head losers out here who say this crap about well, they got to do it in the playoffs. Okay, if you're a team right now, so let's say you're Milwaukee, okay? Which, by the way, another team the Cavs could potentially sweep because they have one more matchup against this year. You're Milwaukee, and you see you're getting Cleveland in the second round. What does your scouting report look like? It's what point is it just let's see what happens? Okay, we got to make sure Garland doesn't get to the paint. Okay, we got to make sure Mobley and Allen aren't there to catch the lob. We got to make sure Mitchell doesn't create space. We have to make sure they don't get into their zone defense and they'll set their defense. We have to make sure they don't crash the glass. Good luck. You want to say that's not a title contender? I just laid out 5 different ways they can beat you.
Well, you didn't even say you got to make sure you keep Max Strus off the arc. You got to keep DeAndre Hunter off the arc. You got to make sure Ty Jerome doesn't get in and ignite.
Get them in foul trouble. Can you get them in foul trouble? Because the beginning of the year, they were getting in foul trouble a lot. We talked about that quite a bit. Doesn't happen as often anymore.
Yeah, they've tightened up a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to beat these guys. You can't beat them with pace. You can't outshoot them. You can't
stop the ball.
Outshoot them from the line or from the arc. You can't out defend them. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I don't know how you're supposed to beat them.
Yeah, you want to take the air out of the ball and hold it, they'll beat you there too.
Yeah.
They just are so. I'm not saying I think they're going to win the title. I do think they're going to win the title. I do think there's a possibility they could lose in the playoffs. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to get all Cavs homer here. But I have a hard time picking against them because they have so many strengths and so little weaknesses. We've talked about this all year. Their ability to be healthy, their ability to manage minutes. We got away from Garland, which was the whole point of this conversation, but just kind of got really excited just talking about this team. and Garland in particular. So anyway, if you're Brooklyn, you probably feel really good about how you've played him all night, right? You're like, oh yeah, we've stopped Darius Garland. Like we got this game.
Until the fourth.
Fourth quarter. He is just awesome. Lights out. So like just his ability to kind of create space. He's hitting the lane and hitting these like really difficult shots. I think he did hit a couple threes in the fourth, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of like, I know everything wasn't great in the first three, but fourth quarter was mine. So that made it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little worrisome for Darius Garland to see Darius Garland struggle in the beginning of this game because he didn't shoot very well last game against the Bucks.
Yeah, he really shot well for about a week.
Yeah, so now you finally get this fourth quarter where he breaks out, is just signature Garland. I mean, 18 points in the fourth quarter to take the game over and win it. You hope that's like breaking out of this little slump, and just so good, man. I mean, so good.
Yeah. So want to make sure we get this out there real quick before we move on. I mentioned all those things earlier. So Central Division, first time they've won it since 2018. That was LeBron's last year. They've officially clinched home court advantage in the playoffs. So at least game one of the first two rounds will be in Cleveland. Well, I mean, it would take a lot for the second round to not be, but realistically. And then the magic number is now 11 to clinch the 1 seed because Boston also keeps winning right now, which is really annoying.
Very annoying.
Yeah, it is. But it's, man, tonight's just another one of those games where they just always find a way and they're just so exciting. And I know I've said find a way like probably 19 times in this episode, but like we said, like finding a way to beat this team is impossible. It feels like at times. And I mean, I know Houston beat them twice. I think Houston's the only team to sweep them. Atlanta has 2 wins on them, but that was with their old team that, none of those guys really on the team anymore, except for Capella, Young, and Okongwu. But yeah, just an awesome game, awesome performance by them. Hell of a win, a gutsy win. We have Friday. Friday's going to be physical, man. That game is going to be physical. They go to Memphis for the second game, a chance for their 12th team to sleep on the air. Will John Morant play? Who knows? But the other All-NBA contender for forward, big, whatever, with Mobley, LeBron, Giannis, and Jokic that we talked about is Jaren Jackson Jr. The other guy who's battling Mobley for Defensive Player of the Year is Jaren Jackson Jr. So those two guys just kind of probably the 2 best fours in the league right now.
Is he gonna play? I don't think he's supposed to be back yet.
Is he not back yet? Shows how much research I did on the Memphis Grizzlies before today.
His estimated return is the 17th, so he may or may not.
Huh? Skyler, you just brought a new wrinkle to my analysis that I should probably be better at. So let's see. Brandon Clark stated today, Zach Easy today, Santi Aldama is out. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s out. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, just throw out what I was just going to say. The Cavaliers are going to kick their ass.
I mean, they will have John Morant though. So, and John Morant is, still a star in the league. Still,
are we sure? Because it seems like we like kind of you see these like Grizzlies games all the time where you're like, all right, John's going to play tonight, and then you get to like tip off, and it's like he just randomly like I don't know his foot itched, so he sat out tonight. And I hate to say I'm a huge John Morant fan, so like I hate to say it that way, but history says. Yeah, I do really like this Memphis team. I really like Taylor Jenkins. I think he's a really good coach. But with the guys that rested tonight, hopefully DeAndre Hunter his illness is cured by then, and you'll have Mitchell back. I think the groin thing tonight was just precautionary, obviously. Ty Jerome was just resting tonight. Have a full team, and they don't have Jaren Jackson Jr. or Santi Aldama, potentially. Yeah, feel pretty good about the Cavs in that one.
Yeah, I mean, ESPN would agree with you. They have the matchup as 67% Cavs, 32 or 33% Grizzlies. So basically a 2-3.
That's a cool arena too, man. Their fans are really into it.
Is it? Have you been there?
I haven't been to a game, but I've watched the Grizzlies on League Pass probably ever since Ja's been there, probably good, 60, 70 times. He's just so fun to watch, man.
He is.
So fun to watch.
He just tries to dunk on everybody, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, Kevin Love was almost a poster.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get out of here, I meant to ask you this, and I was just genuinely curious your thoughts. So this is not like a big analysis thing by any means. With the Cavs kind of getting like flexed to having national TV games all the time, and they're still carrying the games on FanDuel with John and Brad, what broadcast are you watching most nights? Because I feel like I'm going back and forth. I really enjoy when it's like, if I know Richard Jefferson's calling a Cavs game, that wins out for me. As much as I love John Michael and Brad Daugherty, but I think like most TNT games, I'm probably watching the FanDuel broadcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I was on with Zach, and I don't love Stan Van Gundy as a game caller or a color commentary. Maybe because I have a bad taste in my mouth from his brother, who was just the grumpy old man, and I did not care for it.
I love Jeff Van Gundy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Nah, not me. But like, I don't know. Like, I tend to watch the national broadcast because if the Cavs are winning, I kind of want to see how either they are getting disrespected or praised. So like, normally I'm not a big Stephen A. Smith guy, but he's been praising the Cavs, which feels good. Like he's actually watching games. He's understanding what's going on. And then as we've talked last night, Kendrick Perkins clearly isn't watching any games at all. He still thinks that the Bucks are going to win the championship.
That's like our highest viewed TikTok video in a long, long time. You're in Kevin's conversation about sports media, which, man, that could be a whole podcast in and of itself. Might be something like for the off season is me breaking down sports media and why it's so good and bad.
And it was just like when the last national broadcast game when it was Cavs and Knicks, and the Cavs blew the Knicks out by 40.
Yeah, ran up the gym.
Yeah, and Kendrick Perkins like, well, I'm not worried if I'm the Knicks. And I was like, you just got smoked. I mean, like, what do you mean you're not worried?
My honest hope, and I don't know is that somehow, it's a 4.5 game difference, so it's unlikely. Is that somehow Milwaukee hops New York and New York's 4 seed? Because 4 seed come to Cleveland, they can't stop anybody defensively. They can score, but they can't stop anyone. And you can get the taste of your mouth. The series that still affects you so much and still frustrates you as a Cavs fan, you can get that taste out of your mouth. Yeah, bring it to me. But here's the other thing.
And you send Giannis to play Milwaukee first.
You mean Boston?
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, you send Giannis to play Boston first, which
before the conference finals. Yeah,
you like that.
Yeah, you like that for sure. But if I'm the Knicks, I want to stay in the 3 seed as much as possible. Not just obvious for the higher seed. I want no business playing the Pistons in the first round. I want no business playing the Pistons the first round. How physical they are and their defense.
Yeah, I don't know. They're a team that could be a poor matchup for New York.
Mm-hmm.
They're also a young team that, outside of Tobias Harris, have very little playoff experience. So I think that could get to them. And then look, I'm not like
Tim Hardaway Jr. was just in the finals.
You don't have to. I'm not a like. We'll see what they do in the playoffs. But I do think that there's a bit of you need to get your heart broken in the playoffs too.
That's a good point.
And the Cavs have had that. Like we've had our heart broken 3 years in a row now. So like it was the first in the play-in, and then New York, and then last year against Boston. So like we've had our heartbreak. Like we're ready to do it.
Yeah. By the way, are we ready to play the Bulls in the first round? It's happening, baby. They're on a roll.
Absolutely.
They're on a roll.
Absolutely.
If it happens, I will have to be in Cleveland. I will have to be there. I mean, game 2 probably, because it'll be easier for me to plan. But man, they're like sneaking up on Miami, who's playing horrible. They're sneaking up on Orlando, who's horrible, and it's hilarious.
I mean, they're not too far from Atlanta.
No, they're literally 2.5 behind the Heat, and then 4 behind the Hawks for it. So I think their stealing's probably the 8th seed. That's but we'll see. All right, man. Well, before we get out of here, anything you want to touch on before we roll?
It is fun to be a Cavs fan right now.
Yes, it is. So we will be back on Friday after the matchup against Memphis. If I remember correctly, I think that's the night that all 3 of us are here.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be discussing the Memphis Grizzlies game, hopefully another big W. The 2 teams that are blacked out of my league pass, Cavs and Memphis. I'm 5 hours from Memphis. I'm 4 hours from Cleveland.
I don't understand. I mean, I could understand the Memphis, or not Memphis. I could understand Cleveland. Not really, because you're in Kentucky, so I actually don't understand the Cleveland.
Yeah. The Pacers are blacked out too, and I'm like, it's stupid. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us as always after another fun Cavs win. As we go, now we'll look to have on Friday. Let's see if we get the longest win streak of the season going at 16. So as always, if you're just checking us out for the first time in your podcast app of choice or on YouTube, please take a second to give us a nice solid subscription. A review would mean a whole lot. If you could give us a nice 5-star review, it would do a lot for us. On behalf of Skylar Webker, on behalf of Kevin Lynch, I am Tim Daniel saying good night, Cavs fans.
Go Cavs.